morning. I hope you're doing fine and having a great day. I am so glad to welcome you to my third episode of a 2 Cents podcast. I hope you were able to listen to our first and second episodes. If you haven't, please go and listen in. You don't want to miss all the information we shared there. So in our episode today, I had an encounter about 2-3 weeks ago that I would like to share, and then we dive into our second episode. So let's get started. So about I think 4-5 weeks ago, there is one of these people in society you look at, and you really admire them. You think they're smart, you think they're so talented, you really admire them. So I had a chance to get familiar with them, like more like an apprentice, I would say. So we got along really well, but then at the same time, you're feeling good because you're rubbing shoulders with them. So I had an encounter with them, and we really did collide. And then I was very surprised with the way they reacted. It was just so, I don't want to have to say the word disrespectful, but I was very shocked by their behavior. It was such a minor issue that you'd think they know better. You'd think they know how to be able to communicate or to express themselves, that this is not how things are done, or maybe this happened. You'd expect them to communicate how the whole experience is, but they did not. So the whole experience ended up becoming a bitter one, and we drifted up. We kind of, I think admire them from afar, because I can't come close, could I? So the whole experience left me, it left me very puzzled. I was wondering, how can you be so good at something we're all trying so hard to learn to do, but then you lack simple basics like being able to manage a conflict like this? I'd expect you to be, these should be bare minimum things to have on your fingertips, to be able to express yourself. I don't know, the whole situation left me very puzzled. So I wrote it down in my notes app, and I thought I would write a blog about it, but then I kind of got carried away with different things that were happening at the same time. So now with this podcast, when I was checking through my notes app, and I was like, yes, now this is the time to talk about it. In our episode today, guys, we're going to talk about being able to balance up your life. Yes, so when I say balancing up your life, I don't know what comes to your mind, but you want to have if it's an equilibrium, you want to have everything on your life on that lane, being able to balance 50-50. You don't want to be up there in your career 90, 80, and then the rest of your life is lacking. I'm sure you've all encountered people that are like that, right? You're told so-and-so is a lawyer, but they look like they look totally opposite, and you realize they're so good at the lawyer thing that they're doing. You meet someone where they say maybe they're successful medical doctors, but then their families are struggling, they're not in touch with their children. I'm pretty sure we've all had experiences like that, where someone does not actually look like what they say they do. So you don't want to be that person. So in our episode today, I want us to talk about the different aspects of the life that we actually need to focus on to live a balanced life, one that's actually, you're proud to say, I'm a teacher. So you cannot say you're a teacher when your children are doing terrible at school. At least the children should be successful at it. Look like the image you've built. You can't work so hard to try to become a medical doctor, but then you don't look like a medical doctor. You just, either your hair is a mess, your shoes are dirty, or your shirt is not ironed. You can't be that person. So allow me to dive into the different aspects of balancing up your life. First of all, there's spiritual, emotional, intellect, relationships, social, and then physical. There's so many. It could be work or career, but the 5 most important ones that I want to highlight on today are those that I just. Okay, so let's start with physical. Our physical is literally our body. You want to make sure your body is well taken care of. Usually what most people say is exercise. Yes, I've seen people exercise but still live unhealthy lives. So as much as you're exercising, eat well, full real meals. A full balanced meal. You do not have to go to a 5-star hotel to have a balanced meal. But for our Ugandan setting, I would say eat as much local food as you can. We love junk so much. I love junk food, but most of the time I'm always trying to cut down on the junk food so that I eat more real meals, at least one real meal in a day. Yeah, it eventually helps. Sleep well, hydrate as much as you can. Now that is something I'm also working on. I'm trying as much as I can to drink a lot of water every single day. So you may want to be to have a blend of while you work out. Yes, then come and add up food. Eat a well balanced meal. Hydrate as much as you can. If you can get juices, then that's perfectly fine. Make sure your body, because that shows up before you even say anything, before you even express yourself. Your body shows up before you then dress well, smell good, Secondly, it's emotional. We want to work on our emotional status so that it's something we're all proud of. Emotions are feelings, thoughts. These are things in your head. Within yourself, things you may not necessarily speak out, but before you even speak out, you're in touch with your emotions, with your thoughts. So work on your emotional status as much as you can. This could be simply just having a positive attitude about life. You always can't be the one in the room that thinks things are going to go wrong or things are going to go north. So work on your positive attitude. Another thing is maybe to have self-control. This will be a podcast within yourself, because I personally, I have issues. I have had issues with self-control, my emotions, my temper. Usually call ourselves, I am short-tempered, and we say it like it's something cool, like something you should be proud of, when it's not. So we'll talk about that in detail sometime. I'll share my experiences then. Yes, so you want to be the one in the room that's optimistic about life, and then have control over your thoughts, your feelings. Even when someone gets to your nerves, you don't lash out, you don't give in to who they want to expose of you. So it is very important to be in touch with your emotions so that you look good, you smell good now, and then something small happens and then you lash out and embarrass yourself in public. Well, that's not a good side. Well, thirdly, our social lives are very, very important. Social lives could be your friends. I'm sure that's what you're thinking about. Yes, your friends, your circle of people, who are the people you hang with, your relationships. It could be these relationships that we pursue as young people, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and then your family relationships, your siblings, your parents. Those are very, very important. You can't be a marriage counselor when your own family is broken apart. So you want to look like the image you're trying to be. You want to look like the person you're trying to become, So it's important to be intentional even about the friends you have, the conversations you have with your family. I know of cases whereby families are not all roses. There is one thing to have a family that has all things figured out, they don't struggle. But then there's another thing where you have a family that's a ride or die kind of family. I don't know if you've all experienced that, whereby your siblings, your parents are your ride or dies. Like, no matter what happens, we have you back, John. So it is important to have that relationship really strong, because at the end of the day, those people have you back. I have a few friends that have unfortunate situations whereby they're not in sync with their family. It's totally okay. We usually, you meet new families, friends that become family, So you want to make sure your relationships with your friends, especially girlfriend, boyfriend, or your best friend, or you want to be intentional about those people, because these people are supposed to be there for you when you need them. On days when you really can't even recognize yourself, those people matter. So you want to have a productive circle around. You don't want to have a whole village of friends when there is none of those that you can count on. Yeah, about that, I want to say that I hope you're a good friend first before you expect others to be a good friend. Be a good person first. Others will find they'll find you to be a person of value to them. That way, they'll reverse the energy. So the fourth thing, I think, is spiritual. If you're a spiritual person, one that's a Christian, a believer, or a Muslim, if you're a person that believes that there is God, it is important that you have that relationship whichever way you understand God, keep it close within yourself. I personally am a believer. Even on the days that I'm very exhausted and very tired, at least before I go to bed, I say, thank you, Lord. I say that because I'm thanking Him for life, for good health. There is so much happening in life. So much is happening out there. It's such a privilege. It's such a gift to head out of your house in the morning and come back alive in one shape. So at least I make sure I thank Him for that, for the food. I make sure I don't take anything for granted, because it's such a privilege to be able to be in spaces where you are sure of shelter, sure of food. So get in touch with you, work on your spiritual relationship with God. It's very, very important. If you're a non-believer, most people that are non-believer usually like to do yoga, meditation. Do that as often as you can, so that your soul, your inner person, is in sync with you. And the fifth and last thing I want to talk about today is intellect. You want to be a person who can hold up a conversation. I saw a funny trend on Twitter lately where they would say, she's a 10 but she can't. So I saw someone say, she's a 10 but she can't hold a conversation. It's funny, but sadly it's very true. Very many young people don't know how to hold a conversation. And not because they're shy, it's just because they don't know what to say. So they're probably talking about something like the economy or inflation, or they're talking about the Prime Minister of UK resigning and you don't know what to say. So I'm not saying be an expert on something, but it's important you have at least the basic understanding of things, why inflation is the way it is, why fuel is expensive. You want to be the person that at least has an opinion, so work on that. If you don't know where to get these resources, I would say watch the news or read the news. Most people nowadays don't like to watch news because it's toxic. Yes, I agree. Sometimes it can really get to your head. But use the internet. Check out news, what's happening lately beyond your circle, beyond Uganda. Don't narrow it down to just what's happening in our local celebrities or what did that black do, or, afford the luxury to be able to know what's outside your circle, so that even when, let's say, you go out on a date or you go for a job interview and then they're talking about different things and then the boss mentioned something about inflation, you at least have an opinion. It shows you're at least someone who is informed. And then you get to learn too, because while you share with friends, with peers, and they're talking about, let's say, inflation, you know why fuel is expensive, you know why now soap is expensive, you know why even sugar that's made within your country is expensive. It's important. It looks good on you, so you smell good, you have self-control, you dress well, you look healthy, but you cannot hold a conversation. Embarrassing. No, you don't want to be that person. So work on your intellect, read books if you can, use the internet productively, follow those legit information sources so that you're at least aware of something. So and so was arrested, why was he arrested? It looks good on you. So you're probably wondering, now Joanne, what is it that you're working on? Yes, let me give you an account of things that I'm working on. I personally am trying to balance up my life, my family. I make sure I keep in touch. I'm trying to eat well. My God, I suck at meals. I suck at hydrating. So I'm trying that every single day of my life, at least I eat one local food. Here we usually call it local food. I make sure at least every single day I eat a real meal. For lunch at least, I make it a point to have a real meal and then drink at least a liter of water a single day. Usually most doctors say drink 2 liters a day, the minimum of 2 liters a day. But water can be really hard. I'm sure you all know, for people that struggle with drinking water, with hydration, it can be very hard to even to complete 1 liter of water. So I am trying to drink as much as I can and eat well as much as I can. And I think I'm working on is balancing up my time. I try to read at least 3 pages of a book every day so that I learn more. But my mind is getting educated every day, because I realize that when you finish school, it becomes very hard as an individual for you to be able to acquire new knowledge, unless you're going back to upgrade. But usually you're just a passive recipient of information. You're not actually going out there to actually get that information. So books actually help you with that. They give you they learn new things about things that you're interested in. If it's forex, if it's finances, if it's markets, if it's writing, if it's medical, there is so much information. I think I mentioned in the last episode, there is so much information out there. You just need to be willing, the intention to pay attention to receive information is very important. So you may want to get interested right now and get started. So there is so much other things that I'm working on, balancing up my time. I am such a bad timekeeper, my god. So I'm trying to work on my timekeeping skills, my self-control skills, so that, like, even when someone upsets me, I have the guts to simply keep it together without losing it. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what you're trying to balance up in your life so that you look like the person you say you are. Okay, so I am so glad you took the time to watch and listen into this. I hope it was a value addition. Remember, our goal at the end of every episode is to live an intentional, meaningful life, so that we are a value addition to those around us and those in our society. See you next time. Bye.